Alright, hello there. Hey, you probably came to this video to learn how to streamline your smartphone, specifically on an Android in this case, but some of this might be applicable to the iPhones. So, just real quickly here, we're talking about, in this case, a Samsung A5 III. That's what I'm on here, but you could be on other devices and probably a lot of this stuff is going to apply, right? So I'm going to go through a few checkpoints. You just want to check all these, and that way you can probably eliminate any of the stuff that might be causing sluggishness or lag with your phone, or just slow operation, or just cleaning it up in general, right? So, one of the first things you could do is just cleaning up your text messages. Like, you might have your phone's stock text messaging app. Like, I have two of them right here in this folder. One's the Samsung and one's the Google. So either one of them would show messages from that I get on my phone, but and right now I don't have this one here set as my default messaging app. I actually have another app over here called DW Contact set up as my messaging right now. So it's showing my messages that come in and I send out from my phone. Now, you might want to go in and clear up your messages. Right now, mine are pretty clean. I have a few messages left here that I'm going to possibly be following up with for whatever reasons, but overall, you can see I don't have many messages here left. I cleared them all out. Maybe you have a bunch of old text messages, or you just never really cleared out your text messages. You might click on one like this and hold it down, and then on the top right it allows you to select all. Maybe yours has a slightly different way of doing that, and you could look up something more specific to your model. But so that's just one thing you want to go ahead and clear up a bit of, so anything that's not necessary. Now, if you have important texts, don't delete them all. Make sure you save or leave any text message threads that you don't want to get rid of, right? So just be cautious about that. Now, the other thing here is cleaning up your contacts as well. What you might have contacts saved on your phone, you might have them in a cloud account that your phone is synced up to, which I'm going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. But this cloud account, like maybe you're linked up to Google or some other cloud accounts, and some of them might even have contacts in them that are showing up in your phone or could be showing up on your phone. And depending on that, how many accounts you're linked up to, that could be slowing down your phone. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. But like I said, we're talking about just cleaning up your messages, right? And maybe any unnecessary contacts that might be saved on your phone that you don't want saved on your phone, or just don't want to have in your directory. That could be a little bit of a thing to clean up. Now, also going into the trash, right? So you might have, different settings for your device. Now, my trash, I have a folder right here. It's just called trash. It's my general trash bin, and it's going to show me contacts that I've deleted, video or media images that I've deleted, like large files down here that I've deleted. They're in the trash bin and ready to get rid of. Like, I can click right here on this contacts, and I have two in here. I could empty the trash bin and completely delete them from my phone, because if we delete them originally, like from the contacts area, or if we delete some text or some other stuff like text or media, usually contacts and media like videos and images, they're going to end up probably going into a trash bin as kind of like a recycle bin on your computer. And in this case here, I could get to that trash. I can go here to settings, right, and I can type in trash, right, and it's going to go ahead and give me couple of things here, like a trash just for my gallery. Now, your phone, like I said, might be a little different. You might go into settings and search for trash, or maybe you have a folder like this. Maybe for some reason you don't. But it's just giving me some settings for the trash bin for different parts of, like I said, the contacts, etc., or whatever. I can even create a shortcut to this. Maybe I can't remember how I did that, but you might have a way to create a shortcut like what I did on my desktop here. So you might use the search feature in settings if you need to search for trash or something like that, and completely empty it and make sure it's, unless there's anything important there, of course, go ahead and completely empty it out. Now, another thing too is a lot of times, you might have, of course, probably Chrome on your device here. So you have a Chrome browser, and now that has tabs that can be opened up. Like you can see up here on the top right, I have this little 2, right? That 2 represents that I have 2 browser windows open. Now, maybe I don't want, I can completely close my browser. Maybe if I just shut down my browser, not necessarily completely close it, but if I just do this, or if I just close all that doesn't necessarily close all these browser tabs. You see, if I open it back up, it's giving me these two tabs again. So I want to go in here and literally close any unnecessary tabs I don't want to save or don't need to have open or whatever. I just want to close them all usually, right? So that's gonna keep some stuff, you know, from operating in the background. Now, another thing too is to go into your settings and go to apps, right? You might have a menu, or you might be able to just search it like this. Find your apps, right? And there's going to be a list of all the apps that are on your phone, generally speaking. Unless some of them are like hidden or something like that. You might go to your settings on the top right. Maybe it has some other stuff to check out. But for the most part, all your general apps, any apps that are like kind of mostly optional or whatever. Now, I might want to go in here and either remove any unnecessary apps or disable them if I can't remove them. Like this Bixby Voice I was not able to remove. I click on it, it's going into the settings for this particular Bixby Voice app that was actually stock on this phone, but I don't want to have it. I tried to uninstall it. You see at the bottom it says enable or force stop. So it doesn't seem to have an uninstall option, so I just disabled it, right? I completely disabled it, forced stop. And then also on each one of these apps, especially the bigger ones, that take up the most space, you'll see down like in this, you know, your settings might be different for each app, but you see here there's usually an area called storage. And when you go in there, that's the space that app is like using up cache wise and so forth. Like here, there's nothing being used up. I haven't used this app, it's been completely closed, but I did clear the cache and the data and to just minimalize whatever it might have saved to my phone, deleted and so forth, and disabled it. So that's the best I could do with that app. Now, other apps I could delete maybe. Now, there's stock apps, like I don't want to delete my camera app unless I'm replacing it with something like that. This CapCut is just a video editor. Let's just say I wanted to uninstall it. You can see when I open it up, it's got this uninstall. But before I uninstall any of these apps, I want to go ahead and go down to the storage and also clean up any excess, like I'm clearing the cache. I don't necessarily want to clear the data on any apps, maybe if I'm like logged into them and I don't want to have to re-log in, stuff like that. But sometimes with certain apps I might want to clear the data completely and then maybe re-log into the app or whatever it might be, but just be prepared for that. But at least clearing the cache, right? The cache, we cleared that out. I'm not going to clear the data on this one, but if I did, it probably reduce this data number here down a bit. But I'm not heavily worried about it, mainly just going in and deleting the caches for now. But on some apps I might feel like I want to just delete the data. Maybe they're taking a bunch of space too, like, whatever. Here's another kind of editor type of app. I can do the same thing. You can see if I go into storage, once again it's showing me the cache and the data. Then right here in the cache, got 28 megabytes. I can certainly clear that out. Right, and I'm not worried about deleting the data on these, but like I said, that's optional. So just be aware that you might have to probably log into this app. Your settings will probably be reset, etc. So if you get log out of like you're on Facebook or something like that, you might find yourself trying to get back in. Just make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. So, but I have my Google Drive right here. It has like some data so I'm just going through a few of these here and just deleting at least the cache. That one only had a little bit of a cache, or whatever, how you pronounce it. But so I can do that, and like I said, I could also completely uninstall, but delete the cache and the data before you uninstall anything that you're wanting to uninstall, right? So if I wanted to completely uninstall, one of these apps that I wanted to uninstall, like this one here, for example, I would go in here into the storage and completely delete the cache and the data, right? And then I would go back to this page. In this case, yours might be probably different depending on what phone you're using. This is on Samsung, right? This is on a Samsung, probably a lot of Samsungs are like this, but right here I could then force stop first, and then I would uninstall it just in that order, just to be the most secure about, not having any leftover files, temporary files, stuff like that, saved as much as possible. So that would uninstall it. Now I'm not uninstalling, so I'm just going back here to my list of apps. Like I said, you can go through a few of them. You'll notice some of them use up a bit of space, like my Facebook, for example, is a gig. And if I go in here to the storage on this app here, you can see it's got 521 megabytes in the cache. That's like half a gig, right? Not like a ton, but it's a good amount of space. You can see the data itself is over half a gig. I'm not worried about necessarily deleting the data right at this moment, but deleting the cache, you can see it brings that down to 0, right? That saves me half a gig right there in storage on my phone, right? So I want to look through some of these bigger apps, maybe Google, And Gmail, for example, here you can see they got 600 megabytes right here. I can go down here to storage. So I'm just going through some of these apps and clearing up the caches. 144 megabytes I just cleared there. Not worried about clearing the data, but like I said, on some of them, the bigger ones, you feel like you want to totally clear them out and restart them over, you might find that's a good idea. I'm just doing one more here real quick, and 7 megabytes, not a big deal, but whatever. So I'm just doing that, and that's what you're doing with all of them. Depends on how many apps you have on your phone. Right now, if your phone has a lot of bloatware, like I said, that's where you probably want to disable stuff or put stuff on sleep if it has an option like that. So minimalizing apps that start up when you start your phone, and apps that can come into play when you're doing things on your phone, stuff like that, right? So that's just, I have a bit of apps here. A lot of them are kind of stock, and I could probably minimize a little bit more, but that's what I'm done with that in the settings area, looking under apps, and go ahead and minimalizing your apps, closing any excess browsers, minimalizing apps. Right now, the other thing too here in settings, once again, is the accounts I was talking about, being linked up to accounts. So you want to do all this stuff here to really maximize minimalizing the stuff on your phone, right? And in terms of saving storage space on your phone device, which you have its own storage, whatever is that the phone device itself has, and then you might have an SD card in your phone, or maybe some other kind of card. I don't know if there's other kinds, but the SD card, storage card, which might have some space on it, a few gigs or whatever space it is, and then you might have your phone linked up to some cloud type of storage, like Google Drive, for instance, where files can be saved, right, and easily traded around and sent to your other devices, etc. But you also might be linked up to your Google account, maybe, or Yahoo, or something like that. If I go in here, manage accounts, you can see this top one, it says manage accounts. There's some other stuff down here, and you can tinker with the settings in your phone and see different stuff. Be aware just to, try not to change anything that's important, of course. But you see here, I'm logged into several accounts here. And to be honest, I don't really necessarily need to be in all these accounts. Like, one is an account that's on the top here is my Facebook. For whatever reason, I'm synced up to a Facebook, part of my Facebook account, and it's probably part of syncing contacts or something like that. I could delete that if I wanted. I don't necessarily have to. If I click on it, it's going to allow me to remove the account. I'm not worried about removing it right at the moment, but it's possible. Now, this is one email account of mine. Now, it's synced up to this email account, and that means it will show emails that come to this email account, and will also show contacts that are in the Google Contacts account that are associated with this Gmail account. Every Gmail and Google account has a Google Contacts account, right? So, and this will allow me to display these contacts from any of these accounts if I have contacts in some of them. Now, some of these, like the SoundCloud, doesn't have any here. The SoundCloud at the bottom is not like a contact. I don't know why exactly it's synced up to there, but for whatever reason it syncs up to my SoundCloud with the SoundCloud account. And then Samsung has its own account set up. So that's just a few different ways in which your phone can be linked up to different accounts, and you might not want it hooked up to some of these accounts for some reason. Maybe you have some accounts that you're on, linked up to a Telegram account that you don't use anymore, or whatever, to your multiple Facebook accounts, or maybe I want to get rid of one of these email accounts that I'm also synced up to right now, or logged in, hooked up with. And then has auto sync data at the bottom, meaning that it's automatically going to sync any emails and contact edits that you do in your Google Contacts account or Gmail account. So, minimalizing the amount of accounts that you're linked up to is a factor, right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave it the way it is. Like this one here, if I wanted to go ahead and remove the account, I would just go ahead and do right there, remove the account, and it'll unsync it. And I could always add it again later if I wanted to re-add this account back here for whatever reason. Maybe I have some contacts there I want to sync up, or I want to get those emails on my phone. I could add it again, which is already added. So anyway, that's your accounts, right? And then making sure your accounts are syncing. If you want them to be syncing, right? Like you said, the auto syncing is one thing, but if you go into each one, like if I go in here, you can see these settings here, sync account and Google account. We go to sync account, and it's going to give me these options to make sure I have whatever I want syncing. I want my calendar, I want it all to sync, basically your drive, any files you add to your Google Drive, in this case, would be synced up to your phone and your computer, right, as long as you're syncing. If you're not syncing, then if you add files or contacts on one of the devices, it's not going to show up on the other device, like on your computer. It's going to show up on your phone if you add them on your phone, but not on the computer, or vice versa, because they're not syncing. But if they're syncing, the same data would appear for that whatever account. This email account, for example, if I go to Google and log into my account, all the emails and contacts would be synced up on my phone as long as it's set to sync. And syncing is on with these tabs right here for these different areas, right? So that's the accounts, minimalizing these accounts right here. So those are just a few things, just ending and minimalizing the apps and the startups and all that stuff. We're here in settings, and we looked up accounts and apps and everything. So that's that. And like I said, the other thing too is to look up the storage on your phone device. You might have a folder, like right here you can see I have my files, right? That's one way for me to look up files that of different types, and here in this case has categories. In my phone it says images, videos, audios, etc. right? And if I click on any of these, it's going to show me, you know, all my images, all my videos, whatever, right? So, and then I can go ahead and if I wanted to delete any of them, but it's also showing me down here under storage, it's showing me the different storage devices, or you know, so like if I have my internal storage from my actual phone, it has 128 gigs, and 48 gigs of that's being used up by apps and etc. Then I also have my SD card, which has 119 gigs, and only 3 gigs are being taken up. And I probably should transfer, like I probably don't have like my pictures and videos automatically saving. I want them really to save to my SD card here automatically. So I might go in there and change stuff like that in the settings of those apps, like my camera or video app, for example. Now I can unmount this SD card if I want to. I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying you might want to make sure stuff that you save on your phone is saving to the right drive. Maybe you want to save a majority of your general media, like videos and pictures and stuff like that, to your SD card, right? Maybe even some of the apps that you install, you can move them over to your SD card. That way they're still on your SD card for whatever reason. But you also might want to go into that SD card and clear up some files. And it has these different folders, and some of them are, you know, have like the DCIM. This goes to all your images, right? So you can go in and maybe clear them up from there. You can go into your camera and clear them up from there though as well. So either way, you know, there's just other different categories of stuff that you might have. Say the audiobooks, I don't have anything. Alarms is pretty much nothing in there, but you can look them up in each one and see if there's any files that are on there that you don't want to have on either one of these storage devices in this case. Right, and I also have a OneDrive thing that I'm not signed into, and Google Drive I'm not even signed into, but I could if I wanted to, and it would sync to those. So that's just options for other storage, and then network storage is just some other thing. I don't really understand exactly all that, but right here you can see while we're in this area too, we have our this is our trash. This is a trash bin for this area here. I think you can make a shortcut, or maybe if you go up. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly on this device in terms of how I made the shortcut, but you might want to have a shortcut to your trash on your screen, for example, or something like that. So that's just a few things right there. And like I said, deleting unnecessary accounts, and also you might want to go into your settings and disable certain animations or something like that. If I type in animation, like I can say remove animations, right? And I can have, you know, so it has less animations in the processes of, you know, you might want to have those. If your phone's fairly recent, you're probably not going to feel like that's a big deal. You know, you want things to transition smoothly and stuff like that, then you might want to leave that on. But if you turn some of those animations off, and there's certain settings in there too, like I don't know all of them, you might look for your specific phone, because each one's going to have its own settings for like animations and so forth, and probably under advanced or something like that here. So like I said, find the animations, and maybe you want to reduce or eliminate some unnecessary animations on the phone, your device, so that way it'll work a little bit faster maybe in some of those areas. But like I said, it might not be a big plus. You might prefer to go back to having more animations. So those are just a few things, and hopefully this video helps. I encourage you to maybe, you know, of course I appreciate likes and shares and subscription, but certainly encourage you to maybe share it with anybody that might need to know this information on how to clear up most of the issues that could be causing phone lag on your phone, right? So this, you know, I have a bunch of stuff on my home screen too. That's another thing. You might minimalize and remove some stuff from your home screens as well if there's anything on there that you're not, you know, just maybe in this case I could take this and just remove it, right? So or take it or move it upwards to remove it, or whatever I need to do on your home screen, you can decide what you need to do. So kind of minimalizing any areas that you can find on your phone. But those are the main things: your memory, your accounts, you know, storage memory, anything in storage, right? Anything that's saved that you don't want anymore, you want to delete it, and even delete it completely from any trash bins that you might have on your phone, or recycle bins, or whatever else, right? To make sure you're really getting rid of that used storage. But be careful just to make sure you're backing up anything that might be on your device that is important. So I want to thank you for being here. Certainly encourage you to maybe check out some other videos on this channel, or come back and maybe we'll have some more useful videos that could help you with something. In the meantime, appreciate you listening in. Until the next video.